I want you to think about a very specific and, frankly, a very uncomfortable feeling for a second.
Oh boy. Okay.
Have you ever been in a situation where you just felt completely, utterly useless?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're sitting at your desk or maybe you're walking through your workplace and you just feel entirely out of place.
Right.
It's this haunting suspicion that your actual talents, like the things you are genuinely good at, are completely invisible to the world around you.
It is a devastating sensation.
It really is.
It's that sinking feeling in your gut where you start to question your own fundamental worth as a person.
Yes.
You look around at other people who are succeeding effortlessly in that exact same environment, and the immediate psychological reflex is to think, well, what is fundamentally broken inside of me?
Exactly. We internalize it so fast, we immediately assume we are the problem.
We always blame ourselves first.
But our mission for today's deep dive is to explore a radically different perspective on human value.
And it's a big one.
We're going to explore the idea that a lack of success or, feeling quote-unquote useless is not a lack of intrinsic worth at all.
Right.
It might simply be a problem of geography, of timing, or of occupation.
It's a massive paradigm shift. I mean, we are talking about taking the heavy burden of blame entirely off your internal makeup and placing it firmly on the external variables surrounding you.
Yeah.
It reframes failure entirely.
It totally does. And to guide us through this, we're looking at an incredibly provocative essay today.
A really fascinating piece of writing.
It was written by Feng and edited by Yu, and it's titled, Take a Look at Whether You Have Any Value in Existence. It's from June 11th, 2023.
It's quite a title.
Right. And I warn you right now, this text does not pull its punches.
Not at all.
It makes some staggering claims about human potential, the illusion of meritocracy, and just the very structures of our society.
Yeah, it really goes after the foundations.
And starts with a foundational rule that applies to everything in the universe, from rocks to human beings.
Right.
That rule is simple. Everything and everyone has value. There is no such thing as a truly valueless entity.
If something appears to lose its value, the author argues that the value itself hasn't evaporated into the ether.
Right, it didn't just disappear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It simply means that the person or the object is existing in the wrong time, the wrong place, or is engaged in the wrong occupation.
Wow.
The intrinsic worth is intact. The coordinates are just wrong.
Okay, let's unpack this because the text uses some very vivid analogies to get this concept across.
Very vivid.
It starts at the absolute bottom of the barrel. A pile of cow dung.
Right.
If you take cow dung and place it at the roots of some plants in a garden, it has enormous, undeniable value.
Yeah, it's fertilizer.
It literally creates life.
Okay.
But if you take that exact same pile of dung and drop it on a pristine white sand beach where people are trying to sunbathe,
Yeah, not so great.
its value drops to zero. It's just a disgusting nuisance.
What's fascinating here is the absolute neutrality of the object itself.
Huh, what do you mean?
Well, the chemical composition of the dung didn't change one bit between the garden and the beach.
Right.
Only the environment changed. The author then flips the spectrum and looks at something we universally agree is precious. A diamond.
Yep.
A diamond set in the center of a royal crown has immense recognized societal value.
Sure.
But a diamond buried 2 miles deep in the dirt, completely undiscovered, has absolutely no existence value in that moment.
Wow, yeah.
It is practically indistinguishable from a worthless piece of gravel.
That makes me think about how we judge our own careers, honestly.
How so?
Imagine a high-performance sports car, like a custom-built Ferrari.
Okay, nice car.
If you put that Ferrari on a freshly paved, winding coastal highway, it is a masterpiece of engineering.
Doing exactly what it was built to do.
Exactly. But if you drop that exact same Ferrari into the middle of a muddy, swampy bog, it fails miserably.
Yeah, it's going nowhere.
And the crucial thing to understand is why it fails. It doesn't just perform poorly. Its actual strengths become its fatal flaws.
Oh, that's a great point.
Right. The incredibly low ground clearance and the slick tires, which are brilliant for aerodynamics and gripping asphalt on a track, are the exact mechanisms that cause the car to sink instantly into the mud.
Right, right.
A rusty old tractor would be infinitely more valuable in that swamp,
Yeah.
but you would never say the Ferrari is broken.
Right.
It's just massively out of context. But it really makes me wonder if human value is as easily categorized as objects like diamonds or cow dung.
Well, that perfectly illustrates the psychological weight of this framework.
Yeah.
By moving the lens from the object to the environment, it removes the crushing burden of intrinsic failure.
Right.
And the text scales this up to human occupations to show how this misplacement happens every day.
Give me an example from the text.
So if someone has a breathtaking, operatic singing voice, they have immense value on a stage.
Obviously.
Put them in a coal mine, and their vocal cords do absolutely nothing to help them extract coal.
No, not at all.
They appear completely valueless to the mining operation.
The essay also brings up a skilled gardener.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Put them in a field, and they create miracles with the soil. Put that exact same gardener in a laboratory, and demand they conduct artificial intelligence research.
Yeah, that's not going to end well.
They will look profoundly incompetent.
Completely.
And the author even pushes into some very provocative territory to make this point.
Yes, they do.
We should mention there is an example of a, quote, shallow but sexually appealing girl.
Right, and we're just presenting this impartially as the author's illustration here.
Exactly, just to convey the source material. The text argues that her specific attributes give her value in the context of nightlife work.
Because that's where her specific traits align with the environment's demands.
Exactly. But if you placed her in charge of managing a corporate boardroom, she wouldn't just fail to demonstrate value, she would actively bring chaos to the organization.
Yeah, just picture the sheer confusion in a quarterly earnings meeting.
Right. The metrics for success would be wildly mismatched.
The author uses these extreme contrasts, the gardener in the AI lab, the nightlife worker in the executive suite, to hammer home a central, unforgiving thesis.
It is.
Misplaced treasures become garbage, and correctly placed garbage becomes a treasure.
Wow.
The logic is incredibly relentless. It forces us to ask, if placement dictates value for everything from cow dung to diamonds to human beings, how does this apply to the upper limits of human achievement?
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because the author takes this logic to its absolute extreme.
They really go for it.
They make what might be the boldest claim in the entire essay. The text states unequivocally that there are absolutely no idiots, no mediocre individuals, and no wasted talents in the world.
None. Zero.
None. According to this framework, every single person on Earth is inherently a genius. You listening to this right now are an undiscovered diamond.
To reconcile that sweeping claim with the obvious reality that many people clearly struggle and appear mediocre, the author completely redefines the word fool.
Okay, how so?
A fool is no longer someone with a low IQ or poor skills.
Right.
A fool is simply a genius engaged in the wrong profession.
Oh, wow.
And conversely, a genius is just a fool who stumbled into the right profession.
So it implies that extreme success is just a geographical and societal lottery.
Yes.
The text actually brings up Elon Musk as a thought experiment to prove this.
Right, the Elon Musk example.
We typically view someone like Musk as possessing an intrinsic, world-altering intellect, like it's just built into his DNA.
Exactly.
But the author argues his status as a genius among geniuses is almost entirely dependent on his placement.
Because if you think about the alternative timelines...
Right. If Musk had just stayed in his birthplace of South Africa, the essay suggests he likely would have ended up as a minor, perhaps frustrating, employee in some mid-level company.
Furthermore, imagine if he had lived in a highly autocratic, restrictive regime.
Oh, man.
His specific type of boundary-pushing, eccentric, rule-breaking thinking wouldn't be rewarded with venture capital.
No, they wouldn't give him billions of dollars.
It would likely be viewed as a threat to social order. In certain environments, he could easily have been labeled mentally ill and institutionalized.
Wait, really? Institutionalized?
Yes, because his natural traits would be a liability in that specific container.
That's wild. I mean, he didn't suddenly download a software update for his brain when he crossed the border into the United States.
No, his internal makeup stayed the exact same.
But the United States provided the specific economic, technological, and cultural infrastructure, the precise soil that allowed his particular breed of seed to grow into a billionaire.
It fundamentally dismantles our cultural belief in meritocracy.
It really does.
We love the narrative that pure willpower and intellect will always conquer circumstances, that the cream naturally rises to the top regardless of the container.
Yeah, hustle culture loves that.
But the author is arguing that meritocracy is an absolute illusion if the geography is wrong. If you put the cream in a sealed jar and bury it underground, it's never rising to the top.
Yeah.
The container dictates the outcome.
Okay, if we follow this logic to its natural conclusion, we hit a massive wall.
Let's hear it.
If every single one of us listening to this is inherently a genius, What forces in the world are actively misplacing us?
Right.
What is systematically burying all these diamonds in the dirt and turning us into fools?
Well, the essay identifies 5 specific institutional cages that actively suppress human value.
Okay, what are they?
They are marriage and family, national consciousness, state consciousness, religious ideologies, and centralized management systems.
Whoa. I have to push back on this for the listener because that list is incredibly jarring.
It is.
Centralized management.
Mm.
Sure. Nobody's going to defend corporate bureaucracy as a catalyst for human genius.
Right, everyone hates red tape.
But marriage, family, religion, national identity. Society considers these the fundamental stabilizing pillars of human existence.
Yes.
These are the structures that give people purpose, safety, and a sense of belonging. Why on earth does the author view them as cages?
This raises an important question because it sounds deeply disruptive to everything we are taught.
Extremely disruptive.
To understand the author's viewpoint, we have to look at the underlying mechanism of all 5 of these institutions.
Okay.
They are fundamentally systems of standardization. They are sets of rules designed to organize large groups of people by prescribing how you should behave, where your loyalties must lie, and what your obligations are.
So they need predictability.
Exactly. They require predictability.
So they force people into predefined boxes instead of letting them find their natural placement.
Precisely. Let's look at the mechanics of how this plays out.
Sure.
A nation-state demands your primary allegiance to its borders and its economic output, which might force a brilliant global collaborator to view international peers as competitors.
Oh, I see.
A family structure demands proximity and sacrifice. It might require you to stay within a 50-mile radius to help raise your siblings, which completely crushes your eccentric natural aptitude for studying deep-sea marine biology in another hemisphere.
Right, because you can't just leave.
Exactly. Religion provides a strict, standardized moral framework that might actively contradict a person's natural inherent disposition.
Yeah.
These structures don't care about your specific genius. They care about maintaining the structure. The rules demand that the diamond act like cow dung just to keep the state fertilized.
Wow. That is a staggering way to view societal norms.
It's heavy.
It implies that the price of stability is the active suppression of individual potential.
Yes.
And the author drives this home by using the concept of heaven as a contrast, right?
They do.
The text asks, why are there no fools or wasted talents in heaven?
And the answer has nothing to do with angels or divine magic.
Oh, really?
The author posits that heaven is simply a state of pure, unhindered placement, specifically because it lacks these 5 institutions.
Fascinating.
In this vision of heaven, there is no marriage tying you to one person, no family demanding familial duty, no national consciousness drawing arbitrary borders, no religion prescribing standardized morals, and no centralized administration dictating your daily tasks.
So it is the ultimate free market of human potential.
Exactly.
Without artificial boundaries, the sports car never gets forced into the swamp. Everyone organically flows to the exact occupation and location where they're a genius.
But this creates a massive dilemma for those of us living on Earth, stuck within these institutions.
Exactly. My natural reaction, and I'm sure the listener's reaction right now, is to think, all right, if these external societal cages are trapping me, the solution is self-improvement.
Right, hit the gym, read some books.
Right. I need to work harder.
Yeah.
I need to practice my skills and deliberately cultivate myself so I can break out of the box and prove my value.
Makes sense.
But the author drops another huge paradox on us, arguing that trying to fix yourself is actually the ultimate trap.
Yeah, the text offers a very sharp critique of deliberate cultivation.
It calls out Buddhism specifically, doesn't it?
It does. It specifically calls out practices like Buddhism, noting that people can spend their entire lives practicing spiritual cultivation, rigorously meditating and studying, yet still fail to achieve enlightenment.
Why does that effort fail, though? What is the mechanism that makes trying hard backfire so spectacularly?
The mechanism of failure is the overriding of natural instinct. When you strive to become something, you are almost always mimicking someone else's blueprint for success.
Oh, right, because you're reading their books.
Right. And in doing so, you lose your true nature. You stop acting according to your own heart and start forcing your brain into a mold it wasn't built for.
Wow.
The author presents a series of profound paradoxes.
Let's hear them.
True cultivation is not deliberately cultivating. True achievement is not striving. True planning is not scheming. The divine will is not desiring.
The irony is enough to give you whiplash.
It really is.
How do you improve your life if the very act of trying to improve ruins your true nature?
It's a catch-22.
It's like telling someone to act natural when a camera is pointed at their face.
Yes.
The harder you consciously try to appear natural, the more your movements stiffen up, and you end up looking incredibly weird and robotic.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. Conscious effort introduces friction.
Right.
What the author is advocating for is a state of absolute natural flow. Remember the core premise. You are already a genius.
Right, you're already the diamond.
You already possess immense inherent value. Therefore, any forced education, deliberate guidance, or strained effort to achieve a specific purpose is just you actively participating in your own misplacement.
It is like that brilliant gardener we talked about earlier deciding they need to be more successful, so they force themselves to study AI research manuals every night until 2 a.m.
Exactly.
They're burning massive amounts of energy, exhausting themselves, and all they're doing is burying their true talent deeper under a pile of tech jargon they barely understand.
It's tragic, really.
And the essay explicitly states that deliberate education or effort is the fastest way to turn yourself into a fool.
Because striving usually means you're trying to adapt yourself to fit neatly into one of those 5 cages.
Yeah.
You are striving to be a good, compliant employee for centralized management. You are sanding down your rough edges to fit a mold that actively suppresses what makes you special.
Which brings us to the final and perhaps the hardest pill to swallow in this entire deep dive.
The hard math.
It is the hard math of our existence. Because if we aren't supposed to strive, and society is constantly trying to box us in with these institutional cages, how much control do we actually have over our own destiny?
Well, the author sets up this final conclusion with a few stark, undeniable questions about environmental limits.
Okay.
They ask, can you breathe fresh air while living in a city choked by thick smog?
No. I mean, your lungs could be in peak Olympic condition, but the air is toxic. You will still cough.
Right. Can you become an influential philosopher while living under autocratic rule?
Again, your brain might be brilliant, but if speaking your mind gets you thrown in prison, your philosophical output to the world is zero.
Exactly. The text offers one final botanical analogy.
What's that?
Even if you possess a unique, extraordinary seed-like, the most beautiful, resilient plant in the world, it cannot emit even a hint of greenness if it is buried under the ice and snow of a brutal winter.
Yeah, the winter does not care about the genetic potential of the seed. The winter is going to freeze it regardless.
And this leads to the author's final mathematical formula for human destiny.
Okay, break it down for us.
If you cannot demonstrate your value in existence, or if you feel like a failure, the text argues that subjective factors, meaning your own faults, your own choices, your own lack of effort, only account for 3 points out of 10.
3 points, that is 30%.
That's 30%.
So what does this all mean? The other 70% is completely out of our hands.
Yes. Objective factors, the environment, the institutions, the luck of your birthplace account for 7 points.
70%.
The author concludes that success or failure ultimately comes down to timing, luck, and destiny.
I really want you, the listener, to sit with that 70-30 split for a second.
It's a lot to process.
Think about the modern cultural narrative we are constantly fed. We live in an era of extreme hustle culture.
Oh, absolutely.
We are bombarded by social media influencers telling us that we have 100% control over our destiny. The underlying message of modern society is that if you aren't successful, it's because you didn't wake up at 4 a.m., you didn't cold plunge, you didn't hustle hard enough.
Right.
This essay looks at that entire philosophy and calls it a lie.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this 70-30 rule is a profound psychological double-edged sword.
How so?
On one hand, it is absolutely terrifying to realize you only control 30% of your own destiny. It strips away the comforting illusion of total agency.
Totally.
But on the other hand, it is an invitation to gracefully accept the sheer power of timing and luck.
I see.
It frees you from the crushing, toxic guilt of constantly blaming yourself for systemic or geographic mismatches. We are all seeds, but we don't control the winter.
It tells you that if you are struggling, it is highly likely that you want a failure. You just happen to be a seed stuck in the winter snow.
Exactly.
And no amount of positive thinking or striving is going to melt the winter.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to survive until the spring, or find a way to move your seed to a greenhouse.
The author is asking us to stop internalizing the environment's failures as our own personal flaws.
What an incredible paradigm-shifting journey this text takes us on. Just to recap the ground we've covered today, we started with the idea that value is entirely dictated by placement.
Right. That cow dung is a treasure in a garden and a nuisance on a beach.
We moved to the staggering realization that everyone is inherently a genius. and that an Elon Musk born in the wrong environment might just be a frustrated minor employee or institutionalized.
Then we explored how our most revered societal structures, like marriage, religion, and the state, actually function as cages, forcing our natural talents into standardized boxes.
We grappled with the ultimate paradox that striving and deliberately trying to improve ourselves often turns us into fools by destroying our natural flow and making us mimic others.
Yeah.
And finally, we landed on the hard, liberating yet daunting math of destiny. 30% your effort, 70% timing and luck.
It is a framework that systematically dismantles almost everything we are taught about success, failure, and self-worth.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to ponder on your own today.
Let's hear it.
If this author's right, if 70% of our value depends on our environment, and things like centralized management and state consciousness are actively suppressing our inherent genius, what would a society actually look like that maximizes human value? If we can't magically build this rule-free heaven on earth without descending into pure chaos, are we forever doomed to just cross our fingers, hope the 70% lottery of geography works in our favor, and pray we don't end up as diamonds buried in the dirt?
That is the ultimate challenge. How do we design a world that actually helps the sports car find the highway instead of forcing it to drive through the swamp?
Definitely something to chew on the next time you feel a little out of place at work. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.